Hey, Janice.
Hey, Anthony.
I'm gonna ask you to. We're gonna talk about how to deal with disappointment.
So uplifting.
Well, no, but this is good news because if you're
It
down, we're teaching you
is.
how to get back up, right? So that's
I know.
that's
I love it.
all right. So a bad emotional state can really mess up all the different parts of your life, not just the topic that's bothering you. So no matter how quote unquote trivial the cause of your disappointment, it's important to learn how to get over it and move on. So the reason I say quote unquote trivial is because I recently had a pretty strong emotional response to a disappointment that I'd like to share. Um, I did not like Avengers Endgame. In fact, I thought it was really, really bad. I'm not going to do any spoilers. Don't worry, no spoilers. I
No
will not talk
spoiler
about
alerts. Okay.
yeah, no,
Okay,
no
good.
specifics. But if you don't want to hear about an opinion on the movie, then do sign off. But I'm telling you
Podcast
right
for you.
now, it was objectively and whatever. I guess I can't say that because anyway, I don't. It was a shockingly bad movie to me. Shockingly, and it was affecting like my personal life, my work life.
Oh my goodness. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing
Yeah.
with you. Um,
It's not easy for me to say this on a podcast that's going to be seen by clients and potential, but I mean, I just got to be
it
honest.
bothered you.
It was something that I really enjoyed, uh, like the Avengers or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This sounds silly, but just don't judge me. Just you listen, don't
We
judge
will
me.
judge. No judgments. No
I like
judgments.
the
Not for
movies.
me.
Yeah, I read the comics books growing up. I enjoyed the movies. They were really well done for the most part. They were an important source of entertainment, relaxation over the past 10 years. So there was, and
So you
plus there
were
was a super.
excited, right?
Oh
You
yeah, there
were
was a big
leading
hype
up to
train.
this. You
Oh
were
my goodness. Yeah,
excited. I can see that. You're excited. You get there. No,
yeah.
not so much,
So
right?
I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, that wasn't quite as good as I thought. I thought it was just a bad movie. Like if it was if you slapped on different characters, I would have thought, whoa, this is like who got paid to make this? It was that bad. Yeah.
It's good. Even worse. And did you factor into the fact that it was 3 hours long? So how long were you at the movie theater for?
No, 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 no. If it was 3 hours of good movie, I would have loved it. That would have been like,
Then
oh
you would
yeah,
have
give
loved
me
it.
more.
But now
Could have
you were
gone
there
for
for
four.
3 hours plus
Oh, that. Yeah.
time to sit down and go home. That was 4.5 hours of your day.
Sorry, hold on. Let me just take a breath of.
Four and a
I'm
half
still
hours.
working on
You're
dealing
never
with the
getting back.
disappointment. Yeah. So, Janice, what about you? What is something that you'd like to share about as we go down this checklist of ways to deal with disappointment in your life?
So mine, I don't have anything trivial per se. I mean, I've seen some bad
Me
movies
neither,
that my
by the
husband
way.
and I
Mine's not trivial
still
either.
talk. Right. We have movies we still talk about it. Every time we talk about it, we're like, why are we talking about this? Now we can't go back this time either. It was so bad. But I mean, disappointment, we all deal with that. So work related, I was at a job for 10 years. I loved every minute of that job. Loved it. They were laying off a bunch of other employees. It was a police department. They were laying off a bunch of officers because it was time to cut back. So I showed up at the meeting where they were going to vote on how many officers they were going to get rid of. I just hit my 10-year mark. I walked in, sat down. I'm ready to, be there mentally for supporting them. And the first thing I hear is all in favor to eliminate the administrative position. And gavel. And I look around in this room, and that was it. I was done. I got up, walked out, cleaned my desk, and left. 10 years. Very
Whoa.
disappointing, to say the least.
There were no signs in advance of that?
There might have been, but then I had a couple supervisors leading up to there even that night say, oh, no, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Otherwise, I
Mm-hmm.
probably wouldn't have gone and sat, right there waiting to, to help everybody out. But that was a disappointment.
All right.
Yeah. But I mean, I will talk more about it as we go through this and you talk about the different steps. But
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So we both have equally important things to talk about,
Yeah.
obviously. All right. So let's go down this. There's a Psychology Today article that I'm referencing. Link in the show notes about the 4 steps of how to get over a disappointment, and we'll go through both of our examples. Again, of equal importance, right? All right.
Equal importance.
All right. So first step.
Absolutely.
The first step is to accept that disappointment happens to everyone, and and it happened to you. So for me, this was a tough first step because, like I said, there was a 10-year buildup and a reputation and a credibility. So I didn't expect a stinker. I thought at worst it would be mildly disappointing, but not a total bomb. And in particular, of the 10 years of Marvel movies, the writers or the directors, the Russo brothers, who made this final stinker, had done some of the best ones in the past. Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Civil War, some of the best movies. So they had like a sterling reputation. So my expectations were way up here, right?
The bar was pretty high.
So the only thing that helps me accept the disappointment and really help me understand where this, how to frame this for myself was not frame, but do you remember the Star Wars movie, The Phantom Menace, Episode 1, Janice?
I think so.
Okay, so the context was Star Wars was this, huge cult trilogy from the 80s, and then there was this long 15-year gap before George Lucas, got around to making another one. So in 1999, when The Phantom Menace was released, it was basically 15 years of pent up, waiting and anger, not anger, just excitement, right? And it was probably not worth the wait.
No, but you get just like this movie, you are ready. You've been waiting for how long, and your expectations are, they're through the roof. You're excited. You're ready.
But the reason I point out The Phantom Menace is just to point out that it happens, even with the best of intentions and the best of folks. It just happens. That's life. So that's my acceptance story. How about you?
Your acceptance.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your issue for a moment. Are there others that feel the same way about the Avengers Endgame? I'd be interested to hear that.
The minority.
What was the overall thought of it?
No, it's the minority. So I'm on Metacritic right now.
Okay.
The more reliable of the two movie sites. By the way, Rotten Tomatoes is totally compromised. Don't rely on them. But so Avengers Endgame is getting rave reviews, and I also consider this sort of a cognitive dissonance by the fandom, because when Phantom Menace came out in 1999. What did I just say? 1999. It also came out to rave reviews. Robert Ebert, if you remember him, gave it like 3.5, 2 or 1.5 thumbs, whatever. It came out because so many people wanted it to be good, is my understanding. But as time passed, right, that 99, it's been 20 years since Phantom Menace came out. It is now universally agreed to be a bad movie. So I think some of the hype needs to wear off for some folks to see it for what it is. And that's actually part of the frustration, because if there were other folks around saying, oh yeah, too bad that last Avengers movie sucked, it would be a little bit more easier to get to wrap my head around. But because I'm surrounded by guys who are saying, oh, that was so great, I'm like, oh, did we watch the same movie? Are you joking me? So that's why it's been a little tough.
Podcast that we should note. So in 20 years from now, we can go back and say, I told you so. That it really wasn't as great as everyone had thought.
Oh yeah. That's why we're doing this podcast.
Yes. Well, so accepting the disappointment, I had to deal with that as well. It was hard, I kind of blindsided, but not really. But there were others. There were 5 of us. It was half of the department. So we all lost. So it was definitely disappointing, but I knew that I wasn't the only one. And I was also not at that particular point, the breadwinner of the family per se, when some of them were. So I had to kind of look at it that way. Yeah. A couple of them were the only incomes, and you knew it was going to be really tough on them. Thankfully, I wasn't in that boat, but still it's disappointing.
You're trying to one-up me, so I'm going to just pretend I didn't hear that.
I'm trying to think of a better reference. Mine's a little serious, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. So look, the next step for dealing with your disappointment is to start the process of reframing. You've acknowledged that, the situation, but how do you how do you look at it differently to sort of take some of the edge off of it? And for me, I know it sounds obvious to you as a non-fan, but it's just a movie, right? You just got to remind yourself, it's just a movie. Nothing to get too worked up about. Yeah, it's okay. It's you're a little disappointed because you wanted it to be better, but it's just a movie. So that's what I'm trying to tell myself.
Yeah, it's just a movie. It's just a movie. I've spent hours thinking about this movie, but it's just a movie.
Yeah. And how about for your situation? How did you reframe?
It's the same thing. You had to go, maybe there's a reason. Maybe this is, maybe all I kept saying was, maybe there's a reason. Maybe it's okay. We're going to make it through. I really had to think positively, although it sucked. Really.
So, I mean, I feel like I'm taking you down a bad memory lane.
No, because I want you to get to the end so I can tell you about the outcome.
Oh, yeah,
So
cool.
I'm only
Okay,
just leading up to that. This is like a
cool.
good movie, right? I'm leading up to this, the finale here.
I wish the other thing was a good movie too. Anyway, so the next step, the third step in dealing with disappointment is to change your self-talk, like your internal monologue. And I'm working on that as well. So instead of just constantly saying to myself, wow, this movie sucked, I'm so disappointed, those are very negative terms, right? I need to start reminding myself of how good the other movies were. Like, oh my goodness, there were so many good movies. That I guess this positive spin for now would be, this really helps me realize how good the other ones were, you know, and I shouldn't have taken them for granted, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is where I start getting positive, is that I did the same thing. And I started saying, well, you know what? In the 10 years I was there, look what I accomplished, you know, touched lives, not by myself, but with the group. And, you know, I started thinking about, okay, what did I do? What was the positive part of it? Okay, it might be over, but there are lasting positive effects.
Very good. Very good. And then the last step of how to deal with a disappointing situation is to have a plan, to take some action, to do something that will move you forward, right? My plan, if you know the sequence, is there was a movie right before Avengers Endgame called Avengers Infinity War, which was a masterpiece. It was an outstanding movie. So my mental plan is to just pretend that the whole series of movies ended there and that Avengers Endgame never existed. Okay?
So you're going to erase Endgame.
Yeah, I'm just going to pretend it's like a parody movie or like a YouTube video. Like it didn't happen. Yeah, it never happened. That's how bad it was. Anyway, so excuse me, that's how good the other movies were.
Good to get the other ones. Maybe it's a good time to go back and watch that movie, so it could help you erase the
Not yet,
Endgame.
Because I feel like it's right now. It's going to make me just really
too soon.
realize.
It's too soon. You need to go through the stages and take time.
Yeah, some might say this is a form of denial or that it's unhealthy, but I don't care. It's working, so I like this plan for me.
It's working for you. You want to wait. Just give you time to heal. I understand.
What was your plan?
Well, from there, you know, I sat down. You kind of sit around for a little while going, wow, what do I do? It's like over. Well, but from there, I thought, okay, I can do this. And that right there is when I created my business, my virtual paralegal administrative business. From that whole negative thing that happened, I've been going strong for 4 years. And it was the best thing probably that ever happened to me, because I would have never made that jump into doing this. Right. And I love it. I love every minute of it. So I get it now why it happened. And my end game, per se, turned out perfectly.
Well, you have a very serious and uplifting story arc. Mine is a little bit more floundering, and that's why my story is more like that movie Endgame.
Exactly. You know? No, but that's the point of all of this, is that it doesn't matter what your disappointment is. If it's from a movie to something, you know, a job, to even more serious than that, you know, you can put these to work to make it better.
Very true. So, I mean, I know one seems kind of off the wall, but I do think, you know, the 4 steps of getting over disappointment is useful in life and for everyone. My example might seem a little silly to you, but it was actually bumming me out. So I'm glad I went through this. And Janice, thank you for sharing your very personal story.
Oh, no problem. Do you feel better getting it off your chest a little bit about?
You know, we just have to take it one day at a time.
One step. I'll be sure to check in on you, make sure you're doing okay. But
thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Janice. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll talk to you again next time. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.